Hi guys, it's Miss Debbie from the Appomattox Regional Library System, and today I have a fun, spooky, creepy craft for all of you in honor of October. We're going to make a bear tree on a background of your choosing. Now for this craft, you only need a few things and you're going to learn a really cool art technique. You're going to use a straw to blow your beautiful, real looking tree. It makes it look super spooky and super realistic. For this craft, you only need paint. Any type and any color is just fine. It's up to you. You're going to need paint brushes. You're going to need black paint. Again, any type is just fine. You can use acrylic, washable, watercolor, it does not matter. You're going to need water and a cup. And lastly, you're going to need paper. Now I'm going to start off by showing you how to make your background, how I made my background. You can make your background any way you like. I'm just going to show you 3 examples that I came up with to make super easy backgrounds. So let's get to it. The first background I'm going to show you is just an abstract background. This is just me putting colors wherever. And this is really what I recommend with younger children. Just give them the paint and let them paint wherever they'd like. Don't really tell them, this is what you need to do. Just let them do whatever they would like on their paper and then show them how to do with a tree at the end. It'll still be super beautiful and it'll be very creative. The next background I tried was a take on a sunrise or a sunset. I started by making a semicircle of yellow in the corner of my paper. And then I went in with a darker yellow, and then I mixed my yellow with a little bit of orange, and then I went in with an orange, and then did the same process with the red, mixing it with a little bit of red, and then a straight red. And then I faded mine into a brown because I still wanted to stick with the fall tones I was trying to go with, but you can definitely do this technique and use a blue or a purple or a black to get a more traditional looking sunset. The last background I did was a take on a sunset or sunrise, but as a horizon, not a close-up on the sun. This was just going in with a brown and then blending it with a yellow, and then blending the yellow into my orange and the orange into my red, and I went over them over and over again, building up the color and trying to blend it out so it was a smooth transition instead of just blocks of color. This is a great idea to try for your older kids. Get them to try this method so they can learn a bit about blending as they do this art project. These are just suggestions. You can do this with really any background. You can definitely take it in a night perspective and do a dark blue and some stars and add a spooky moon. Whatever you do is going to be amazing. You're going to need whatever kind of paint you have, anything but watercolor. Watercolor, just keep pouring the water until you get it kind of thin. But for any other liquid paint, just pour a little bit in a cup. You don't need a lot. And then go in starting with about the exact amount of water that you have to paint. And then just stir it up. And if it drips like this, you're perfect and ready to go. You want it to be super thin because that way it blows easily and your children don't have to sit there and blow and blow and blow and not get the results they're looking for. All right, let's get to it. Parents, I just wanted to go over a few safety precautions before we get into making our tree. The paint never goes into your straw. This is just for blowing. And please keep an eye on your children when they are using a straw to blow the paint. Now I'm going to demonstrate real quick how we do this, just so there's no misconceptions. You're going to drip a bunch of paint on there, and then you're going to give it a blow. Perfect. Just make sure no paint ever gets into the straw. You don't want your child accidentally eating paint. All right, let's get to it. Start by making an 1.5 inch long tree trunk. I do this just to make sure the first part of my tree is straight. Then you want to create a pool of paint using several drops of paint. Then start blowing it out in all directions to create your various limbs. Then you can start adding more paint at the end of your limbs so you can shape them however you like. You will occasionally want to turn your paper. This does make it easier to reach the top of it with your straw and makes it easier to shape your limbs. Continue blowing out your limbs and creating more limbs and branches until you're happy with how your spooky tree looks. Once you're done with that, you can let it dry. Even if there's pools of paint, because of the paint underneath, it will protect the paper and you can just let it dry normally. If you're not comfortable blowing your tree out and you'd rather draw one, this is just a brief tutorial on how I do it. I like to use a straight brush. I think it helps me get a better straight limb on my tree. And I am not the best at drawing trees, but how I do it is start off with my trunk and then start adding limbs at various thicknesses and adding branches off of those limbs. Thank you for joining me for this week's craft video. I hope you had fun making a spooky, creepy tree. Please come back in 2 weeks to see my video on how to make beautiful painted pumpkins. Have a great weekend and enjoy the best time of year. Bye!